In honor of the man who I'm proud to call my dad, here's a tribute to similarly great fathers in the world of cinema. I'm going to focus not necessarily on the most memorable dads, like, say, Don Corleone or Darth Vader. In keeping with Father's Day, this list is a tribute to those movie fathers who stepped up to the very difficult task of raising a child, while also serving as an example to them on how to live their own lives. This is a tribute to 5 of the best father figures that have graced the cinematic screen. Number 5. Calvin Jarrett from Ordinary People. This was one of those Donald Sutherland performances that was criminally overlooked by the Oscars, even as they honored pretty much everyone else in the movie. In Ordinary People, Calvin Jarrett is a successful, middle-class man who's trying to move past the tragedy of losing his eldest son in an accident. To make matters worse, his younger son attempts suicide, and Calvin arranges for him to see a psychiatrist. The movie follows Conrad's mental journey to overcome his demons, and it also shows the realizations that his parents come to about their own situation. While Calvin initially has a tendency to assume all is well, he doesn't hesitate to help when he sees something's wrong. People have pointed out that he's taken part of his life for granted, and while that is true, he nevertheless is a good man who wants things to be alright, and he does love his family very much. He doesn't hide Conrad's problems under the rug and treat them like something terrible either. And there's actually a few scenes where Calvin and his wife argue about Conrad's situation, and Calvin has to make some very eye-opening discoveries. The very down-to-earth and realistic portrayals of these characters is ultimately what makes Ordinary People so memorable. And Calvin Jarrett is certainly worthy of praise as a character and also as a parent. Number 4. Carl Fox from Wall Street. This Oliver Stone film is all about a young man's apprenticeship to a corporate raider named Gordon Gekko. Bud Fox is ambitious and desperate to taste that lifestyle which seems so glorious to him. Meanwhile, his father Carl has no interest in that world, seeing right through its falseness and worship of greed. Carl is a maintenance foreman at Blue Star Airlines and the president of its union. Carl is a hard worker and above all an ethical man. He tries to teach his son about ethics, but he also knows that some lessons will have to be learned the hard way. Throughout the film, Bud wavers between Gordon and Carl as father figures that he can take inspiration from. Gekko represents the flashier but more dangerous lifestyle, while Carl represents the honest hard worker who doesn't respect people for the amount of money they have. In between the great writing, great direction, and wonderful performance by Martin Sheen, Carl Fox is certainly one of the most memorable aspects of the film Wall Street. Number 3. Furious Styles from Boys in the Hood. This was easily one of the best films of 1991. It's a story asking how children can be raised in an environment where 1 out of 21 of them will be murdered. At the start of the film, Trey Styles is entering teenage years, and he's showing signs of going down the same violent path that his friends are on. His mother takes him to live with his father in South Central Los Angeles. Furious Styles is a tough disciplinarian who knows all about the dangers that face his son. But for all his strict lessons, he knows that ultimately Trey will have to make his own choices, and he will also have to own up to the consequences of his choices. Just like Carl Fox, Furious knows that he can serve as a guide and a role model to his child in the hopes that he does the right thing. Furious Styles is my favorite Lawrence Fishburne role, not just for being a very well-acted individual, but also for being such a positive role model and memorable movie parent. Number 2. Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird. I would be very remiss to overlook the figure of Atticus Finch when talking about cinema. Based on Harper Lee's famous book, To Kill a Mockingbird looks at the difficulty of maintaining ethics in a society that does not share those ethics. Atticus is a lawyer who defends a black man falsely accused of rape. As so many people have pointed out, Atticus strives to also teach his children important lessons that will make them into better and more whole human beings. He strives to live up to that image as well, and while he doesn't always succeed, as with the others on this list, it's clear that he won't stop trying if he fails a few times. While his daughter is the obvious focus of the book, Atticus gets a bigger role in the movie, where we really get a look inside his struggle to make sure his children are safe and well looked after, while also maintaining his honor and code of ethics in a society where such ethics would get him persecuted. It's a very honest and very interesting portrayal by Gregory Peck, and it's certainly a very memorable performance. And number 1, Mufasa from The Lion King. A lot of this choice has to do with the impact of The Lion King on my childhood. Mufasa was the first movie father that I can remember watching in my life, and throughout the film, he strives to be a good parent. This is made difficult because he has to balance his parental responsibilities with the enormous task he's been given as King of the Pride Lands. Just like Furious Styles, he doesn't shy away from disciplining his son when his son has done wrong, but that just contributes to the impact Mufasa has on Simba's upbringing. But perhaps the strongest element Mufasa conveys in The Lion King is the lengths that he will go to ensure Simba's safety. In what remains one of the most emotionally moving moments of any film that I've ever seen, Mufasa braves a stampede of wildebeests to save his child from danger. And even after Mufasa's unbelievably tragic passing, his lessons serve as a reminder to Simba that he has responsibilities that he cannot run away from. Because of this, he never truly leaves Simba's life, and by the end of the film, we know that Simba will pass on those lessons to his own child. In fact, you could say that about the other fathers on this list as well. While there will always be subjective ideas of what makes a good parent, I made this list based on the positive impact that these figures try to leave on their children, despite their own imperfections or limitations. And it's also worth pointing out right now that fatherhood is not limited to biology. Robertson Davies once wrote that anyone who amounts to anything has several fathers. The idea is that a father is a role model, someone who influences you for the better and makes you into a more whole person that can take on the responsibilities of life. A father is someone who gives you lessons and attention, affection, things that will help you on your own path to growing up. By this reasoning, and my own subjective opinion, Mufasa is my number 1 choice of the list. And so this is my tribute to fathers of cinema and of real life. Dad, if you're watching, I wish you a very happy Father's Day. To the rest of you, I thank you very much for watching.